Dear students, loving Sairam. In the last lecture we have discussed about plane mirrors, reflection of light, laws governing the reflection of light and the characteristics of image formed by a plane mirror. In this module, we will be discussing about the other kinds of mirrors, that is spherical mirrors, and what are the rules for image formation. So, the outline of this lecture is as follows. We will be discussing initially as to what are spherical mirrors, what are the important terms related to a spherical mirror, what are the rules for image formation by a concave mirror, and what are the rules for image formation by a convex mirror. Let us start. Spherical mirrors. So, till now we have seen mirrors that are plane in surface. Now, as the name suggests, these mirrors are curved mirrors. So, there are two kinds of spherical mirrors. One is concave mirror and convex mirrors. So, this is how a concave mirror looks. So, what is a concave mirror? These are the kind of spherical mirrors in which the curved surface is inwards and the image obtained from these mirrors depends on the placement of the object. So, these are a special kind of curved mirrors in which the reflecting surface is curved inwards and outside the surface which is outside is painted. So, these are called concave mirrors, and depending on the object that we place in front of the concave mirrors, we will be able to either get a real image or a virtual image. The other kind of spherical mirrors are convex mirrors. Convex mirrors are those kind of spherical mirrors which are curved outward and the image obtained is always virtual. So, this is how a convex mirror looks. A concave mirror is curved inward and the reflecting surface is inward, whereas a convex mirror is curved outward and the reflection takes place on the outward surface. For example, in the daily life, if you have a look at it, take an example of a spoon. There are two sides of the spoon. One is which is curved inwards and which is curved outwards. And when we look at our reflection in the spoon, we will be able to make out that always the reflection that is obtained on the outside surface. Now, we know what to call the outside surface, it is called the convex surface. The reflection that is obtained on the convex side is virtual, which means the image is erect. Remember, last time we have seen that real image is always inverted, virtual image is always erect. So, on the convex surface, if you have a look at your image, it will be virtual and erect. Whereas, inside the concave surface, if you want to have a virtual image, that is if you want to see your image as erect, we need to keep it very close and we will be seeing as to why we need to do so. So, spherical mirrors are categorized into two kinds, convex mirrors, concave mirrors. Concave mirrors are also called converging mirrors. Convex mirrors are also called diverging mirrors. This is very obvious because if you have a look at the concave surface and the convex surface, the surface looks like this. For example, in the concave surface, any ray of light that is falling on the surface of this concave mirror, we see that after reflection, because of the structure of this mirror, it will be coming inwards, it will be converged or it will be focused on this side. Whereas, any ray of light that is falling on the convex surface, what happens? As the ray of light hits the surface, it will be, after the reflection, it will be diverging because of the curvature that is bent in this particular orientation. So, these are few examples of spherical mirrors. By looking at this, you will be able to make out which is concave mirror, which is convex mirror. Now, this is how we have the diagrams for the concave mirror and convex mirrors. Now what we do? We generally place any object in front of this mirror, and then after the reflection we will be seeing how the image is formed. And when we talk of the image, now we know that we need to tell whether it is real or virtual. Second one, whether it is erect or inverted. Third, whether it is enlarged or diminished. Now look at this. So this particular mirror is concave mirror because it is bent inward. Now this particular mirror, when extended, is assumed to form the surface of a hollow sphere, and this is why we call them spherical mirrors. So the concave mirror that we see here is actually supposed to form a part of a hollow sphere, imaginary hollow sphere. A part of that, if we look at it, this will be the concave mirror, and this will be the convex mirror now, because the reflection is happening outside. So whenever we draw a mirror, for example, suppose when we draw a concave mirror, we need to shade the outside, because to tell that this is the reflecting surface and this side is coated. Similarly, when you are drawing for convex mirror, we need to shade inwards. If you look at your textbooks, either they draw something like this, these lines, or they shade it mildly this side, because to tell that the other side is reflecting. So whenever you see a plane mirror, for example, when we draw like this, or we shade it in the downward direction. Why? This side is the normal side which is shaded, which is in the background, and the reflection happens on the other side of the mirror. So this side will be reflecting. So whenever we draw a concave mirror or a convex mirror, we need to shade as to which side is reflecting, so that we will be able to distinguish one side is reflecting, one side is non-reflecting. So these are the different parts of the concave mirror and convex mirror, which will be coming to slowly. Now this is how a concave, now you will be able to make out this is a concave mirror, this is a convex mirror. Reflection is happening inside, reflection is happening outside on the outer surface. Now what are the different parts of a concave mirror? Pole. Pole is the midpoint of the spherical mirror. For example, when you draw a concave mirror like this, the central region of this exact midpoint of this mirror is called the pole. Center of curvature. The center of the sphere that the spherical mirror was a part of is called center of curvature. Now we draw a concave mirror like this, but suppose we extend and complete the sphere, imaginary sphere, the center of that imaginary sphere for which this concave mirror is part of is called center of curvature. And from the center, when we draw the radius to any point on this hollow sphere, this is called the radius of curvature. Radius of curvature is the third parameter. The distance between the center of curvature and the spherical mirror is called radius of curvature. This radius will intersect the mirror at the pole. Now when we draw the mirror here and center of curvature, this particular distance is called radius of curvature. Okay, so center of curvature is a point inside the hollow sphere, imaginary hollow sphere. Pole is a point on the mirror, whereas radius of curvature is not a point, but it is the distance between these two. So pole is a point, center of curvature is a point, but radius of curvature has got a dimension, it has got a specific value. Next part, principal axis. The line or the imaginary line passing through the pole and the center of curvature is the main axis or the principal axis for the mirror. Now, this is a concave mirror. Suppose they did not mention whether this is concave or convex. By looking at it, we will be able to make out. Why it is called concave? Because it is bent inward and the reflecting surface is this side because the outside surface is shaded. So, this is a concave mirror, and the imaginary line, this particular line passing through center of curvature and pole is called principal axis. This will be a straight line and this is an imaginary line. Next, focus. This is important. Focus is a point which is not on the mirror, but how do you know what is the focus of a spherical mirror? In a concave mirror, all the rays that are parallel to the principal axis. Now look at this. Look at these rays which are marked with the arrows. Now all these parallel rays that are parallel to the principal axis mutually, after the reflection from the mirror, they exactly focus at one particular point, this point. So this ray came, because it is a converging mirror, I show the direction using the arrow. After hitting the surface of the mirror, it came like this. The other ray came, it came like this. So any parallel ray of light parallel to the principal axis, after the reflection, it exactly passes through one point called the focus or the principal focus of the mirror. So any ray of light or bunch of rays, a beam of light that is parallel to the principal axis, always after the reflection converges at a single point called focus of the mirror, and this is where we can obtain the clear image for all the parallel rays of light that are coming. And focal length. Focal length, the distance between the pole and the focus is called focal length, and this focal length is denoted by small f. This is called the focal length, which means what? The distance between focus and the pole. This is called focal length. Principal axis is an axis, imaginary axis. Focus is a point in front of the mirror. Similarly, focal length is the distance. Remember, radius of curvature is a distance. Similarly, focal length is a distance. Now, by simple calculation, from here to pole, this is radius of curvature and this is the focal length. By simple mathematics, we can show that radius of curvature is twice the focal length. The relationship between radius of curvature and focal length is this, or you can also write focal length is half the radius of curvature. So whenever we are solving some numericals, suppose they give you what is the radius of curvature, you should be able to calculate what is the focal length, or if they give you the focal length, you should be able to calculate what will be the radius of curvature. So these are the different parts of the spherical mirror. So let us take the example of a concave mirror. So this is called the principal axis. This particular distance is called radius of curvature. This is the center of curvature, the point. This is called the principal focus. And now, knowing the relationship between radius of curvature and focal length, I know how to place my focus, whether it should be here or the other side, we will be able to make out. So based on the relationship, we will be able to make out that the exact midpoint between center of curvature and pole is called the focus or the principal focus, and this length is called the focal length. Radius of curvature is the distance, focal length is the distance. We know the relationship between both of them. Similarly, center of curvature is a point, principal focus is a point, pole is a point, principal axis is an imaginary axis. Now, Rules for formation of an image in mirrors. Now, we have concave mirrors, we have convex mirrors. Now, there are certain rules that govern the image formation, and these rules can be verified experimentally in the laboratory. So, rule 1, there are 4 rules in total. Some of the books give only 3 rules, while some books give 4 rules. The first 3 rules are very important. The 4th rule looks quite obvious, so that is the reason why some of the books omit it. Let us check what is rule 1. Any ray of light parallel to the principal axis will pass through the focus after the reflection. Let us apply the rule for concave mirror and convex mirror. Now, any ray of light parallel to the principal axis. Now, look at this ray of light. This is parallel to the principal axis. These 2 rays are parallel. So, though you will be able to make out that some distortion is there, if you draw very carefully using a ruler, you should be able to draw it accurately and correctly. And the arrow denotes the direction in which the ray of light is moving. A ray of light parallel to the principal axis will pass through the focus after the reflection. So, any ray of light that you draw. So, where will the ray of light come from? The object. Suppose we place an object in front of the mirror. Object emits rays of light, or it reflects the light that is falling on it. For example, this is an object, I can place it in front of a mirror. The object is visible not because it is self-luminous, but it is reflecting, the light falling from the other light source is making this object visible. So, this emits ray of light, and this will be taken as the object, and any ray of light coming from the object which is parallel to the principal axis, it always, so suppose you draw a ray of light, I draw one more ray of light. So, this is how this arrow, let this arrow denote the object for me, and this arrow is emitting rays of light. Now, the parallel ray of light coming from the object, after reflection, where should this go? As per the rule, this should pass through the focus. This should be a straight line. If you use a scale, you will be able to get the straight line. As many parallel rays of light that are coming, all the parallel rays after the reflection from a concave mirror, they will be passing through the focus. Now, take the example of a convex mirror. Convex mirror, any ray of light or any parallel ray of light that is coming, this is not going to converge inside. Now, why did this ray come inward and not go the other way? Concave mirror is a converging mirror. Because of the bend being inward, you can make out that the rays of light that are hitting the mirror, after the reflection they will be bent inward or they converge. Whereas, in a convex mirror, the rays of light they will be diverging. So, therefore, this ray of light, any other ray of light parallel, it diverges and goes off in the other direction. So, this side of the mirror there is no actual meeting of this, because one ray is going in this direction, the other ray is going in the other direction. So, all these are like diverging. But if you extend these rays of light inside the mirror, all of them they appear as if they are coming from a particular point inside the mirror, and that particular point is called the principal focus of the convex mirror. Later in your higher studies or in your 10th class, when you do experiments, there is a particular procedure or there is an easier procedure to find out the focus or the principal focus of a concave mirror, whereas to determine the exact focus of a convex mirror may not be so easy, but there are ways to do it. So, how do we define the principal focus for a convex mirror? Any ray of light parallel to the mirror, after the reflection, all these reflected rays, they appear to come from a point inside the mirror, and that is called the principal focus of the convex mirror. So, the same rule if you apply to a convex mirror now, any ray of light that is parallel to the mirror, they diverge after the reflection from the convex mirror and they appear to come from the focus. Let us go to the next rule. Now, rule 2 says that if you look at your books, you will be able to state this rule. Let's do it now. Any ray of light passing through the principal focus after the reflection from a concave mirror emerges parallel. So, this rule is exactly the converse of the first rule. First rule, what it says, any ray of light parallel to the principal axis after the reflection from a concave mirror passes through the focus. Now, this is the converse of the rule 1. Any ray of light that is passing through the principal focus of a concave mirror after the reflection from the concave mirror, it emerges. So, there are different rays of light that are coming. Now, those rays of light that are passing through the focus, always after the reflection they emerge parallel to the principal axis. Now, look at this, this arrows show the direction in which the ray of light is coming. Suppose I have one more ray of light, incoming ray of light which is passing through the focus. Now, it hit the mirror here. Now, how should I draw my the reflected ray of light? Where should it go? Because it is passing through the focus, it must always emerge parallel to the principal axis. Carefully, if we draw the mirror, so generally what is the way, suppose you want to draw this in your books and then verify, generally we draw the concave mirrors like this. Generally we draw the concave mirrors like this and then we shade it outward. The mirror should not be like this, there should not be much curvature, nor it should be almost like a straight line. So, this is not a concave mirror, this is also not a concave mirror, the depiction. We can never draw like this. So, it should have minimum divergence, it should have minimum bent or curvature, not more, not less. So, something like this you should be able to draw. Suppose they ask you to draw a concave mirror, you can draw it like this. So, this is neither straight nor completely bent. So, therefore, we draw like this and then now we can draw all these rays using. So, what we do, first we need to locate the center of this mirror and name it pole, and then we draw an imaginary straight line passing through the center. Of course, when you use a ruler or scale, you should be able to draw it very straight, and then once we locate this, we can mark the center of curvature and the midpoint between center of curvature and pole, we call it focus. So, for example, if from the pole, if I mark my center of curvature at 8 centimeters, logically you should be able to mark, or accurately you should be able to mark the focus at exactly 4 centimeters. So, at 4 centimeters I place my focus. Why? We know the relation that R is equal to 2F. Using this relation we will be able to. Now, once fixing all the 3 points in this, then we should draw the ray diagrams, and these are the ray diagrams that you will be able to plot. Rule 1 we have seen, rule 2. So, for a concave mirror, any ray of light passing through the focus, after the reflection it emerges parallel to the principal axis. Now, let us see how do we draw the same thing for a convex mirror. Convex mirror, reflecting surface is outward. So, this is the convex mirror and I draw my principal axis, I mark my focus here, this is the pole. Now, the same rule, how could it be applied for convex mirror? Any ray of light, any ray of light that is falling on the convex mirror along the focus, along the line of joining focus, after the reflection it emerges parallel to the principal axis. Concave mirror, it is easier to draw it and observe. Convex mirror, the focus will be lying inward. So, we can never project this ray of light inside, because after hitting the surface of the mirror it will be reflecting off. So, how do we define the same rule for convex mirror? If you look in your books, it will be defined that any ray of light falling along the direction of the principal focus, along the line joining the principal focus from the surface where the ray of light strikes the mirror. So, along this direction, if any ray of light is falling, after the reflection from the mirror, it will be emerged parallel to the principal axis. So, this is rule 2, which is exactly the opposite or the converse of rule 1. Rule 3, any ray of light passing through the center of curvature of a concave mirror doesn't deviate and it retraces the same path, which means out of the many rays of light that are coming from the object, this particular ray of light which is passing through the center of curvature after the reflection from the mirror goes undeviated, which means it neither is reflected in any other direction, but it goes back along the same path. So, this is rule 3 for the image formation. The same thing if you want to apply it for a convex mirror. Now, this is a convex mirror, focus is inward, center of curvature is inward. Now, the same rule how do we define for convex mirror? Any ray of light that is falling on the mirror such that it is directed along the center of curvature. After the reflection from the mirror, it goes back along the same path. Now, look at these two arrows, incoming arrow, it hits the mirror, and after the reflection, it retraces the same path backward. Similarly, here also, this is the incoming arrow which is passing through the center of curvature. We show the incoming arrow like this. After the reflection, it goes back along the same path. So, this is rule 3 for the formation of image in a concave mirror as well as a convex mirror. Rule 4, this seems quite obvious because any ray of light that is hitting the mirror at the pole, after the reflection, the ray of light goes back in such a way that whatever is the angle of incidence that is here, the same will be the angle of reflection. This is similar to the laws of reflection because though the whole mirror looks curved, so this is a curved, let us make it clear. So, this is a curved surface for me and somewhere at the center of the mirror my pole is there. Now, the whole part is looking curved, but suppose I focus, the whole part is looking curved, but I just only focus on this particular region. I can approximate it like a straight line. This is almost looking straight, if not exactly, this can be approximated as a straight surface, as a plane surface. So, the curvature here is very minimum. So, though the whole mirror is curved, this particular portion where the light ray is falling on the pole, so this can be taken as a plane surface and the laws of reflection for the plane mirror hold good, which means what? Only here my mirror can be approximated as a plane straight surface. So, angle of incidence, so this is the normal now. For this particular plane surface, this is the normal, the principal axis. So, whichever ray of light is falling, it has an angle of incidence. After the reflection, angle I will be equal to angle R. The same thing holds good for the convex mirror also. So, these are the 4 rules for image formation in a concave mirror as well as a convex mirror. These are important because whenever we want to see what kind of images are formed in a concave mirror and in a convex mirror, what we need to do? We need to place the object in front of the mirror, and as the object keeps moving towards or closer to the mirror, we need to see where the image is forming, whether it is forming on the same side or whether it is forming on the other side, that is whether it is a real image or virtual image, and then we need to talk about the characteristics of the image that is formed. And you know all the 3 characteristics. One is whether it is real or virtual image. Second one, whether it is erect or whether it is inverted. Third one, whether it is magnified or whether it is diminished. So, whenever we are keeping the object in front of the mirror, there are many rays of light that are coming from the object. So, we need to choose any two rays of light, and using these four rules for image formation, we need to see after the reflection where the reflected rays meet or where they focus exactly, so that we know at what point the image is formed. And based on that, we will be able to tell all the three characteristics for the image that is formed. So, in this module we have discussed about what are spherical mirrors, how many kinds of spherical mirrors are there, what are the various parts of spherical mirrors, and then finally what are the rules for the formation of images in a concave mirror and convex mirror. So, with this we wind up this module, and in the next module we will be checking what will be the nature of image, nature, position and size of the images formed in a concave mirror and a convex mirror. Thank you. Sai Ram.